Soul Simmers, and welcome back to a brand new video. This is not your average Pack Legacy episode, I do realize that, so if speed builds are not really your cup of tea, I will also make sure to do a little tour of this build in the next Pack Legacy episode. However, I wanted to make sure to share the process of building the new house for the Pack Legacy challenge, because I always think it's really fun to kind of hear a backstory of a build, or kind of hear the philosophy or the thought process behind the builder, or like behind the building, because it does really make it fun to then see how someone plays in the house if you kind of understand what their vision was for building it. So I decided to make an official speed build out of the brand new house for the Pack Legacy challenge. And this is a really fun one because I had not built a typical suburban home in a good while. I actually felt a little bit rusty doing this build. I really had to figure out, and well, thanks to my editor for cutting out all the rotating and stuff, because I was struggling. Let me tell you, I was not used to doing a suburban build anymore. However, it was really fun to do it again. I used to do so many suburban builds, but I kind of stepped away from it, and especially with the builders games going on now, if you're missing that, I'm doing a lot of creative builds over on my Twitch and also making speed builds out of that. So if you want to watch other builds than suburban builds, feel free to check out any of the other recent speed builds that I've been doing on this channel, because I'm really truly in my speed building era. I'm not gonna lie, we've been doing a lot of speed builds here and I'm thoroughly enjoying the process. But it was so fun to yet again do a suburban and build another family home, because it's been a good while. Like I said on Twitch, I'm playing the Not So Berry challenge, and I've very much haven't built their home or a new house for them in a long time either. We've been playing in the same house for what, 1.5, 2 generations now. And with the Pack Legacy, we've also been playing in the same house for quite a while. So it was really nice and refreshing to kind of be able to go back and build a family home again. Also to decorate and kind of get a cool idea of what I wanted to do with this build. Obviously, a lot of you guys gave fantastic suggestions in the comments of the Pack Legacy episodes where I talked about potentially building them a new house. And so many of you came up with really fun ideas and also a backstory why they would be living in a typical suburban. So I'm currently building in this video in San Sequoia, because I was like, if we're gonna go for a typical suburban, we're gonna go for the most suburbia world in this whole game as well. And I really like the idea of the story that you guys came up with of, Malcolm has had a promotion, and since Yule's actually getting a little bit older, it makes sense for them to maybe move out of the busier city of, well, in this case, Mount Komorebi, but something similar to Japan, and maybe move back, maybe something like that, quote unquote, move back to the States or somewhere else where you would have a suburban area. Could be basically any place in the world. And also, I think what I really like about the idea was some of you came up with a secret room or a basement or something for Malcolm to work on his criminal activities, because now that Yule is actually more grown up, there is a big chance that Yule will actually find out about that his father might not be the most righteous person. And since Yule has a very, very strong sense of justice, that is obviously something that Malcolm wants to kind of postpone as long as possible. And I think what you can see here in the video is that I was struggling. Let me tell you, it wasn't just me not being used to building blue Suburbans anymore. It was also me not realizing how to make this floor plan. Oh my word, I really wanted to make a basement, and I really wanted to have the stairs to the upstairs and to the basement next to each other, but for some reason I could not figure it out. The bump outs wouldn't work, the floor plan wouldn't work, and I mean, I had versions of the floor plan where I was like, okay, actually this could work, but then the upstairs didn't work and it got really crammed. And I was like, I would also maybe like to put a little washing area somewhere, or an extra bathroom, or all of these thoughts that I had, and none of them worked. I fiddled around with the floor plan for so long, and I don't know why I struggled so badly, because usually I'm actually quite decisive in making floor plans. I just quite quickly decide what I want to do and I just run with it. But in this one, I just could not stop doubting myself. Every single time I did something, I was like, yes, this is gonna work. And then I was like, no, that doesn't work for this reason. And also, I didn't want to make weird corners in the rooms or anything. I do end up with kind of a weird corner in the room on the the bedroom upstairs. But I think just end up making something really cute out of it. I was like, what if we kind of make a walk-in wardrobe or something? So that's kind of what you see here. I'm trying to get rid of that weird corner where the window is, but I simply realized that I couldn't if I wanted to make the rest of the floor plan make sense. There was no way for me that I was going to be able to actually like get rid of that corner and make that a square or a rectangular room. So we end up actually just using that corner kind of as part of the decor. I did end up adding an extra bump out piece here simply to have all of it just work a little bit better. I think the floor plan in the end turned out quite nice. I do really like that the bookcase right next to the entry here that you can see like the entry into the living room is like subtle enough that I think it genuinely hides the door into the basement really well. Like if Yule's growing up here, if they just move in and he only knows it as a bookcase, I can imagine that as a kid you would never ever think to check this as a door. So I think the floor plan turned out pretty well in that sense of like hiding away the basement. I also went ahead and decorated the basement. I also end up like going back into their original house to obviously grab all the pictures and stuff, but also I tried to kind of reuse some of the themes that I had in the old house. So for instance, Dawn had a bedroom that had a lot of like lighter pink in it. So that's something that I kind of wanted to return in this house, even though it's a very different style of house, because obviously this is the most suburban house and they were previously definitely not living in a suburban home. But I think I kind of wanted to keep some of the color scheme, some of the lighter colors, because I can imagine if you move houses, like the structure of your house is going to be really different. But most of the time, your interior style doesn't change drastically when you move houses, or at least that's what I've had when I've moved in the past. Like, yes, there are certain things that you change because finally you have some budget for it, or you actually changed style over the years. But like fundamentally, you're not going to go from cottage core to hyper modern, or most people won't. Maybe there's people who do. I'm actually curious what your thoughts are on this. If you're watching the speed build and you're like a person who loves interior decoration and all of those things, have you switched styles? Like how is this journey for you if you've lived in multiple places? But as you can see, I placed the vault in the basement. I was like, we need that. This is this is one of those items that I don't think I've ever used in The Sims in any build that I've ever done, like none of them. But I thought it was so fun to actually add the vault in the basement, because that's where Malcolm is going to hide a lot of his stuff. Also, you can kind of see here that we had a little jump cut in the building where I've also done the landscaping. So there's a little area where they can park their car, where they can also access the backyard. We have a big front porch that kind of wraps all the way around the house. So that is nice for your Sims whenever they want to access the garden, that they're also going to always going to take the shortest route, because it's basically a wraparound all the way. Obviously, we're decorating the bathrooms first, because I always joke about this on Twitch, but I don't know what it is with me. I always start with a bathroom. It's this weird quirk in building that, and if I don't start with the bathroom, it's always the kitchen. Like, it's either the kitchen or the bathroom that for some reason just drag my attention, but I usually tend to start with the bathroom. And I think I've genuinely given this some thought of like, why do I do this? What is my reason to always start with the bathroom? I think it's because one of those rooms, it's not too big, so it doesn't feel immediately incredibly overwhelming to start with a bathroom. But at the same time, it does feel that like quick sense of accomplishment. And also a bathroom kind of dictates what the rest of the style of the house is going to be like, right? Because if you use very old tiling, that's going to be what the rest of the house is going to look like as well. So I think a bathroom is just one of those easy rooms to get into the building or like into decorating a house. If you start with a living room, it can be so incredibly overwhelming because there's so much detail in a living room. So I just kind of need to get in the mood of interior decoration whenever I'm doing a build. And I think that's why I always start with the bathroom. I'm also really curious, if you're watching this speed build, whether you also start with a bathroom, or like what is the room that you start decorating when you're doing a Sims build. We've talked about this on stream before, and it's always really interesting to hear people's building process and like kind of how they approach it. But meanwhile, I'm completely drifting off and just chatting away about building and not really telling you anything about this build anymore. So let's actually get back to that. As you can see, I'm now decorating the living room. I tried to again like get a lot of the neutral or like simple tones back into it, because that's something they had in their old house as well, and I really like that. So I also tried to make it a little bit more colorful. So instead of having just the wood tones, like adding some pinks here. I really like the rug. I think that was a really nice addition to this room. I think it like makes it super cozy without making it too cluttered. I tried to add a lot of the functional items in here as well. As you can see, we have a little cat tree. I think the cat trees in The Sims are just ridiculously large, so I always struggle with putting them in my houses. However, I do think it's really cute that we have a cat tree for our brand new addition to the family, Catastrophe. I also actually for a second doubted upstairs if I wanted to make an extra bedroom, because the bedroom for Yule ends up being ginormous again. And I was like, maybe I can make an extra bedroom and we can have like a little plot twist in the story that there's going to be another baby or something. But then I was like, no, Rosanna, no, because I've been so focused on working towards like the third generation and already telling like Yule's story, and you know, the second generation is done. I was like, I should not add more children and prolong this generation any longer. So I was also thinking that specifically for this house, like we built it for Dawn and Malcolm to move into with Yule as a kid, but we're obviously gonna live here while Yule is also a teenager, and we're gonna do a lot of things while he's a teenager because he's also gonna get a job and stuff. And I think there's going to be maybe some switcheroo at one point where Yule continues to live in this house, or maybe where he goes to. I don't think he's going to go to university, although I'm still not really sure about that. I'll have to check for the detective career, because I think if we want to finish a good portion of that, I don't think we have the luxury of time to go to university. But I was thinking maybe he can actually continue to live at home for a while and maybe like not tell his parents what his occupation is, so that he's a detective like undercover in his own house, something like that. I'm not really sure yet. There are so many options for a good plot twist, but obviously we have his whole childhood, his whole teenage years still to go, and I think we need to get cracks like slowly starting to form in the relationship with him and Malcolm. So far that eventually he doesn't trust Malcolm anymore, and he's gonna probably like snoop around or try to follow his dad and then find Malcolm's basement, which I'm really excited for you guys to see. I'm also really excited to play in this house. I tried to make it a really nice house to play in terms of like decorating and stuff like that. I tried to make it a place that I know I will just thoroughly enjoy playing in. Also, kind of just to talk you over the rest of the plan for this house, because I don't think I will do a full voiceover for the entire video, because then I would just start talking about things that don't make any sense and are absolutely unrelated to the build. But something that might be interesting to mention here, apart from like the basement and stuff, is that again, I tried to keep a lot of the things that Yule already had in his kids' room, because I felt like it made sense that if you move out, you probably do not replace all of your furniture. And even though a lot of the furniture in all of the other rooms did get replaced, I was like, maybe it could be fun that Yule actually keeps a lot of his old bedroom stuff. So a lot of his toys, a lot of the furniture that we had. Some of it is CC, so if you do end up downloading this build, I think I put it on the gallery, and if I haven't done so, I'll obviously make sure to do that before this video airs so that you guys can download it. Just take into account that it is tagged as CC on the gallery, and that specifically Yule's room has a couple of CC dressers in it and stuff. However, I would say that 85, maybe even 90% of this build is completely CC free, so you could just grab it for yourself and then kind of fill in the empty spots of some furniture that disappeared. But most of it I tried to build without CC, and then I actually went into the house that I'm currently playing in, and I noticed that Yule actually had some furniture that I really wanted to take with me, so we do end up having a little bit of custom content in here. Also, if you're ever interested in what custom content I use, I don't have specific lists for every single build that I do, but I basically use all of the CC that I've also showcased in my CC videos. So I have a bunch of videos, actually 4 to be precise, 4 videos on Max's match build by CC. And that is everything I have in my game, because ever since making the last part, I haven't gone CC shopping. I'm actually planning on doing that really soon again. So if that's something that you're interested in, make sure to keep an eye out for another CC video. I can't promise exactly when it will happen, but it will definitely happen. I'll definitely make another video about Max's match build by CC, because it's just one of my favorite topics in The Sims. And I want to give myself the pleasure of going CC shopping again, because I've withheld for that for so long, because I didn't want to make too many CC builds, because I know that you guys really like to download the builds that I make on stream or in my YouTube videos. So I kind of refrain from using a lot of CC in my builds, but I miss it. I miss my CC builds. So I might actually go back to using a little bit more build by CC in the future. And then I'll just make videos so that you guys can download it as well. And then you could still grab my builds from the gallery just with CC in it. Something else that might be interesting about this build is that I do end up adding a laundry area. So I kind of want to add the experience of doing laundry with this house household. However, laundry has been a little bit broken for me in the game, so we will see how that turns out in gameplay. I might remove it if it's too frustrating, but I was thinking it might be fun now that we're living in a suburban to like genuinely live the most suburbia life as well by actually doing some of the household chores. I might even add like a vacuum and turn back on the dust system, because I don't think I've ever properly played with Bust the Dust, and it could be kind of funny to do household chores like that, and maybe like even look into some things from For Rent where we have some of the lot challenges enabled, just simply to spice up our gameplay a little bit, and maybe also add an element of surprise in some cases, because I do think that is fun. I feel like especially in Let's Plays for things on YouTube or things on Twitch, it is extra fun to have that element of surprise in there, because it kind of sometimes makes your storytelling unpredictable, and that usually gives me a lot of inspiration when the game kind of does something that I didn't expect would happen. And then I kind of take away from that, and then I use that as inspiration for the rest of the storyline. This is also what happens with your YouTube comments. It is really nice to read all of your ideas, and it gives me so much inspiration to tell a slightly different storyline than I might have had in my brain before I read all the comments. So that's really nice. Also, something is I do end up removing the piano that you earlier saw in the hallway, because I realized that I didn't have any space with like a computer. And then Malcolm does have an office downstairs, but since it's so hidden away, I decided, you know, it wouldn't make a lot of sense if that's the only family PC. So eventually we'll have a PC in the hallway. So that's kind of like the family PC that everyone can use. And here you can see me decorating the backyard, where again, I add a little space for laundry. We have a little pool here. We have some space for gardening, even though that's not something that we're probably going to do a lot. I still wanted to make sure that we have some space for it because it just looks realistic. And then I just tried to make a really nice and like cozy backyard area, because that's something that we really do not have in our current build. As you can see, I did not add the treehouse, even though that was one of the first things that inspired me to maybe even move houses with them, is do I want a treehouse, yes or no? But I decided, you know what, actually it might be kind of nice not to have the treehouse, and someone suggested adding the treehouse to the recreation center, and I did really like that idea, because I think personally I don't go out of the house with my Sims enough. I always end up staying home and just playing on one lot and not traveling. So I like the idea of not having all of the facilities on one lot and potentially being able to like travel to the recreation center to go to the tree house and like work on Yule's aspirations and stuff like that. So these are all things that I kind of wanted to tell you guys about the build. I'm trying to figure out if there's anything else that is important to mention. Otherwise, of course, I'll make sure to give a tour and we're going to play in this house, so you're going to see a lot of it. I think then that's it. Those are the most important things that I wanted to share about the building process. If you have any questions, or you want to know how I did a certain thing, or you have any suggestions for this house, something that you think would be fun to add, feel free to let me know. And then I'm just going to let you guys enjoy the rest of the speed build with some nice music in the background. And also, don't forget to hit the like button if you enjoyed this speed build. I would love to hear your feedback in general on the speed builds that we've been doing on the channel, because I really enjoy them, but I would love to hear if you guys are enjoying them too. And I will see you all again on the next episode of the Pack Legacy Challenge. I'm super stoked to actually move in here, and thank you all so much for watching. Have a great day, and bye!